The city is getting too loud. You need a home. Home is love. Peace and tranquility. Home is Housing TV Africa. Housing TV Africa, your first in housing news. When the city is getting too loud, you need a home. Home is love. Peace and tranquility. Home is Housing TV Africa. Housing TV Africa, your first in housing news.
And we're back. Welcome to the breakfast show, and I'm sure you've enjoyed today's bits as much as I have. It's been very, very exciting on the program, and we will now be moving to the next segment, a very important segment of the program. We'll be having a look at the dailies for today, and we will be starting off in the Guardian newspapers. We will be seeing what the newspapers are saying for today. So a lot has happened, a lot is happening in the country, but I want to ask you a question before you introduce the guest for today.
Okay.
What would you say about the performance of the Naira? The Naira is bouncing back.
I'm not seeing anything bouncing back. No, that's the truth, because we had this conversation yesterday. The dollar is coming down, but then we still have food prices in the market, commodities are expensive. So as far as it's not reflecting. We're just seeing figures and hearing over, so it's not reflecting. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't think I have an answer for that. I'm not happy.
All right then. So we're not alone in the studio. We'll be joined by a special guest who will be analyzing today's dailies with us.
Yes.
Definitely.
Okay, so we have Mr. Yomi with us here. He will be reviewing some of the dailies with us and also the top headlines on this newspaper. So we'll start off with the Guardian and the household groan over food prices as inflation defines interventions. You can find this on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. And then also one that's catching my attention here, Ebenezer, we have National Grid suffers third collapse worsens 20 hours
Worsens the 20 hours power
target.
I heard humorously say over the week that hopefully the National Grid wouldn't go into coma very soon. So what do you have to say on that?
Okay, so good morning, guys.
Good morning. You're
welcome.
welcome.
Thank you for having me. Which is the National Grid and then the power target.
Exactly.
Firstly, do we have 20 hours light in?
We should be throwing that to you. Do we have 20 hours light?
Apart from, I think it was Abia State that just commissioned the new power plant. I don't think other parts of the country have 20 hours of light. Then now to the power grid collapsing and all. I was saying off camera that I think this part, fifth time this year, it's almost become once a month. It's now like a monthly cycle. You are sure that every month or every
the grid will fall ill.
The grid will collapse. I know. Maybe we should look for to assist the power grid so that it doesn't fall off anymore. It's a shame where we are, but I think the guest who we had earlier has done so enlightening us as to the power sector and what the do's and don'ts. And I think the take home for me is the electric bandits that we have.
So yeah, definitely. All right, moving to the next. This is an issue too. The border headline which says households groan over food prices as inflation defies interventions. Now, according to reports from reliable quarters, the Naira has been performing quite well, supposedly, over the past month. But we're not seeing it reflect in reality. We're still having high inflation, particularly food prices. I mean, the price of rice has not come down.
It's still the same way. Yeah.
So households are still complaining over food prices.
So let me ask this question before I answer or share my view on this issue on food pricing and the dollar. No, if it goes up, does it ever come down?
Funny enough, no.
That's
funny enough, no. But that's
Aren't Nigerians the problem?
No.
I mean, how does the price of dollar affect the price of bitter leaf or Maggi?
So I think that which brings me to the answer. I think that we're missing the point. The cost in hike in prices is not necessarily dollar alone. There are other factors which have not been addressed. When it comes to agriculture, for example, now insecurity is a problem in the north. Transportation, road network.
Yeah.
Those are issues that haven't been addressed yet. I mean, so as a farmer, dollar is up, dollar is down, doesn't affect how I'm moving my goods from the farm to the market.
So it's the same thing we are saying. I mean, if you meet an average food seller, what they will tell you is that after all, the price of dollar is still up. So I mean, it's affecting.
I feel they are
the ones that keep attributing.
But then Mr. Yomi has a point there. As a farmer, when you meet these farmers where their farmlands, after cultivating produce and all of that, it's cheaper.
Yes,
it's cheaper.
Yeah. But by
you
the time you
buy it there, production and then transportation and then all of that. I think those are yes. I would agree on that too as well. So coming back to this food issue, because I always say people need to eat.
Food is important.
Food is very, very important.
I mean,
let's be honest. Yeah. Food is important. Yes, we need electricity to do a whole lot of things. Businesses are tied to power and all of that. But food is very important, and we cannot stress this enough. The government needs to find a subtle solution to make these food items go down. So now I'm putting this out to you, Mr. Yomi. What exactly do you think is the major problem? Because you just highlighted, okay, we have transportation as a major problem. Insecurity is a major problem.
Insecurity is a problem. Transportation is a problem. We don't even have, we have enough lands, but we don't even have enough farmers. When I mean farmers, mechanized farming. Commercial and mechanized farmers to serve this entire country in terms of what we consume food-wise. That's why we depend heavily on import. While we should be, that's why we depend heavily on export. We export everything, most of the things we eat, while we can be making some of all these things. Those are some of the things that we need to focus on. We need to encourage more people to go into farming. I mean, if you were not here this morning, maybe you should be in a farm or something, planting something, or harvesting something. So those are some of the ways to solve this problem. And the only way you can encourage people to do something is to show them the creative side of it. Make the farming sector, I think that the farming sector over the years is and everybody is looking for office job in quotes as opposed to farming. And we need more large-scale mechanized farming, and we need them to be in a conducive environment. I think the government has failed over the years in creating a conducive environment for farmers in terms of security, their welfare. If it is not herdsmen in the north, it is sit at home in the east. I mean, that's an issue also where people are not allowed to go. I have the money to buy things, but I can't go to my store because there's a sit at home on a Monday. So those are issues that needs to be addressed from the government, and then maybe prices will come down.
Definitely, those are issues that needs to be addressed. So still on the Guardian newspapers, we have just said Boulder headline says households groan over food prices as inflation defies intervention. Do we still have hope for balanced diet? These days
there's no hope for balanced diet because a mudu of rice is over 2,000 naira. A mudu of beans, no, let's not even go to the back. You understand, because not everybody can afford to buy a 50 kg bag of rice. But then a mudu of beans, how much is a mudu of beans? You know, these things are really, really alarming. The prices are something else,
Definitely.
and I don't know what
And
we're
they
going to
change
do.
on a daily basis. They keep going up. They are not even stable. You go to the market today, you buy something for 5,000. You go with 5,000 tomorrow, and they tell you it's 7,500.
Not even tomorrow. You go in the morning to get one thing for, let's say, maybe 8,000 naira, and then you go back in the next 3 hours. Don't even bother to go the next day. Go back that same day in the evening, and then you find out that 1,000 naira is now sorry, is 1,500. I just come out for market, and you know, so these things are, and sometimes I feel that we are the problem. You know, as Nigerians, or to be honest, we also have our own problems. Yes, we have a huge part to play, because there are some food commodities that you know that ugu, for example, you just gave a very clear example of vegetables.
What's the relationship?
What's the relationship with the vegetables?
Tell me the price of the dollar that's costing.
So I think that a number of persons who actually use dollar as an excuse to increase their prices either do it from the point of ignorance or illiteracy. Yes, there are factors that affect productions and not. Maybe let's just basically say they are looking for an excuse, or they are looking for something to tie the increase to. Oh, and one thing that I think we do in this part in this part of that is Nigeria is that we just trending a lot. We jump up. So I people give the most ridiculous reasons for things because it is trending. Not just even food prices, anything. As far as this is talk of the town, everybody. I've seen people say dollar is affecting house that I built 10 years ago. I built a house 10 years ago. I say I want to increase my house rent. I've seen it. I want to increase my house rent from X amount to Y amount, and then you're writing people formally, and then you're saying due to the dollar rate, are you not building the house? So I think the fact that we want to jump on trends and consciously and unconsciously, we now tie that into price rates or increase in price, of which there are justifiable reasons sometimes for this price, which are some of the things you already stated, which is the road networks, the insecurity, the factors of production, and another thing which we should also, which having the major increase of food, is the subsidy removal, because people spend more on generators now, especially if you're using big machines and you
need to power.
Yeah, you need power because. Like we started, not everybody has 20. Not everybody's on band A. Some people are on band Z.
Even the band A people are they even.
Some people are on band Z and some people are bandits.
And some don't even know they are banned.
Some of us don't even know our band. So that's what we think.
All right, quickly, let's skim through the Guardian. Some other stories before we leave the Guardian. The template says federal government targets $15.7 trillion artificial intelligence market. You can find details of that on page 5. BCDC orders soldiers to leave Bokos as death toll hits 30. Details of that on page 30. This one, there's been some crisis in the Southwest. Southwest leaders fault oil invasion as police arrest 21 suspects. There have been high reported cases of land grabbing and all that in the Southwest.
Even in the secretariat at the governor's office, secretariat in Ibadan, there was a report of men dressed in military attire.
Who were apprehended.
You know, there's been a bit of unrest.
There's a lot to be done in that regard.
The security structure, the security they have their work cut out for them. From the north to the south to the east. I think security is a major.
Yes, and for me, I feel security is not just a one-man thing. It shouldn't be left only for the security parastatals. We all have a duty as citizens, as Nigerians, to also be vigilant and look out for things, report suspected cases, and anything you find very, very not too straight. You're being suspicious. You're being suspicious. Funny. Yes, you can just.
The first security person is yourself.
Of course.
You're responsible for your own security.
Of course.
All right, moving to the Punch, the headlines today in the Punch newspapers. We'll quickly go through that. Both the headline says vandalism worsens grid collapse as gas shortage slashes power supply. Details of that on page 35. Let's take some of the kickers there. TCN discos blame gas shortage vandalism for frequent collapses. Firms beg customers. I think we've said a lot on this issue. And then on the issue of vandalism, we spoke at some point in the program talking about those in Band F, the bandits. Are Nigerians also contributing to the issues we're having? I mean, why would you go and vandalize?
Yes, we are also we are also responsible for some of these issues. I don't want to tie it to some persons not having job to do, or unemployment, or thuggery or something like that. I don't want to tie it to that, but I always say that as Nigerians, we have humanity. We should take every single thing in this country as ours. It's our country. We cannot go see, no matter how you go to another man's country, it's never your country. You are still a visitor. So your country is still your country. So I still don't know that persons will feel the need to want to frustrate the effort of people that mean well for the country. Vandalism has been something that has been going on for years. And I think
something happens, it makes the headline, we talk about it for a week, a few days, and then we forget about it. Before this, I mean, way back years ago, there have been people who have been caught for certain things, and somebody was saying it's only in this part of the world, in Nigeria, where somebody commits a crime, he's paraded, he's this, and they give it 10 years, 15 years. The person is contesting for a political office in his own town. That person will win. So I think we are forgetful on certain issues, and then we don't follow up issues. They are the people who were caught for election offences. People who last year, what happened to them? The police reported we made arrests. We did this.
There was no follow-up to give us.
They made headlines. We had news reporters sit and talk about it, analyze it. So there's so many issues, not just on election, not just on electricity. I mean, the one on the transformer was funny because it was an AADC staff, United States electricity official was involved in it. But what happened?
We are also having saboteurs from the system.
Of course,
I mean, if an AADC official can connive
to steal
with other criminals to steal transformers and vandalize them, there's a long way to go.
Yes, there's a long way to go.
Okay, away from that, looking at the other stories in the Punch newspapers today, this one is on the business part, beside the nameplate. Nigeria's foreign direct investment fell by $19 billion in 10 years. That's according to Wale Edun, the coordinator for finance and revenue. That's quite concerning. Above the nameplate, state police. Police law amendment may take 2 years.
Why 2 years?
Why 2 years?
Why 2 years?
That's according to details of that on page 2. All right, Naira nears 1,000 to the dollar at parallel markets.
And food prices are still at the rise. I have a
You have a problem with
I
that,
do.
You've been hammering on this one.
I have.
It's very concerning. All right, and below the name, father kicks as coroner blames parents, doctors for teenagers' death. That's quite concerning. Details of that on page 5, talking about the Oromoni story. And now, the headlines in the day today. Boulder headline says 4 ex-governors, 21 other senators sponsor no bill in 10 months.
Wow.
Details of that on page 4. It's the wow for me.
So, we need to ask this
Governors, exactly.
If they've been paid.
Of
for
course,
the 10 months,
they have been paid for the
so
10 months with all of the allowances.
What exactly is the payment and the allowances for? If in 10 months you are a senator and you're supposed to sponsor bills, that's your job.
And that's why you're there.
You haven't done anything in 10 months. So why are you being paid? That's the question. I think we need to read that and get their names and the people who voted them in need to demand from them why they voted for.
All right, as we begin to round up on the newspaper review segment, other headlines in the Daily Trust newspapers. This one says Southwest governors move against Yoruba Nation agitators. You have details of that on page 23. And now this one looks interesting. Fuel subsidy is back. Federal government paying more. That's according to
when I saw
that's interesting.
when I saw this headlines yesterday, it came out. Yeah, okay. We are going somewhere now. We're going somewhere. We're going somewhere. We're going somewhere. Yes, we're going to have some revelation.
I, on my own, actually feel that, personally, I do feel that this is not a headline, because if you look at the subsidy system and the dollar and everything, subsidy was never really removed, because we export crude oil and import petrol, and the importation, the exportation process is done in dollars. It's not done in naira, and dollar has not been stable in Nigeria for a while. But yet the price of fuel has been, yes, it's been high, but it's been stable to some extent in naira. So who was making up for the losses, or the whatever? Yeah, exactly. So subsidy was never really gone, so to speak. It might have just been, maybe reduced or whatever. So I don't think this is a new headline for people who know a bit about the oil and gas sector and the downstream. You know, it's dollar. You buy and sell your dollars. You are receiving your petroleum product, refined petroleum product, PMS, in dollars. And today, dollar is 900, for example. Yesterday, it was 1,002. There was a time it was 1,000. There was a time it was 1,005. So who makes up for that lapses, basically? So it's not a new headline as far as I'm concerned.
All right, so it's not a new headline, and it's on that note that we will be wrapping up the newspaper reviews for today. We've had a look at the dailies. You can do well to get copies of the newspaper dailies today, so you can get up to speed with what is happening in the nation. We'll go on a quick break now, and when we get back, we'll go into the final segment of the morning show. Stay with us.
This is a great initiative, and I was telling my good friend Festus, who's been the founder and steward of this initiative, that we should replicate this across the African continent, and we're happy to collaborate with the International Housing Show, and we think that it's a worthwhile initiative because it brings together all the players in the housing ecosystem, and it's a great advocacy for the sector. So we'll be looking forward to participate also in the future events of the International Housing Show, and potentially even look to see how we can scale that up across the continent. So great initiative, and looking forward.